In this video, we're going to talk about our next cycle of design training program. If you're not familiar with the design, this is our online group training program that's designed to help you improve at competitive CrossFit. In this program, we have 3 training paths. The first is a CrossFit path, which is written to an RX or above athlete that wants to get better at competitive CrossFit. Then we have a strength path, which is basically designed to get you stronger at all the movements that you would see in CrossFit, so weightlifting, powerlifting, strongman, gymnastics, and then an engine path, which is designed of all of the cyclical machines that you'll see in CrossFit to get better at running, rowing, ski erg, bike erg, assault bike, and all of that fun, high turnover cyclical stuff. Now, if you think about those 3 as kind of the ingredients that you would use to get better at training, then we also have training templates, which are basically recipes or ways to explain to you how to use those ingredients to build a training program that makes sense for your life, your needs, and your schedule. In those templates, we basically explain how you would combine the paths, how you would reduce the volume to get better at yourself. So in this video, we're going to dive deep into how these training paths are written for the next 6 weeks, and we're launching 2 new templates where I'll explain all the templates and those 2 new templates for you. So Brandon, take us away in the CrossFit path.
So I am writing the CrossFit path, and in this kind of space that we're in this time, there's a lot of unknowns. 2020, there are a lot of unknowns, especially obviously in the CrossFit world with everything that's gone on, a new CEO or owner. Yeah. And so the original plan was, hey, we're about 14 weeks out from what we thought the Open was going to be. So we're going to start with a volume building phase, and then that's going to transition into some intensification as we kind of lead up to the Open. And now, since we don't know, we still want to be prepared, but have a plan in case it doesn't happen and maybe it's pushed to, let's say, February or wherever it may be.
So for people that don't know, there was Castro was on Talking Elite Fitness, and he talked about having a desire to move the Open back to the original February, March time, because that set up well for affiliates to go from New Year's challenges, give people something to train for, get ready for the Open. So we don't know if that's actually the case or not, but there's rumors, and I've heard it from multiple people that might be the case.
Yeah, and whatever it may be, we want to make sure we have a plan either way. And so what we're thinking now is this new training phase for the next 6 weeks, we're still going to do a volume building phase. Basically, we're looking at all the numbers that we know that are in the Open, or the movements and the numbers at which they're tested in the Open, and we're going to try to build that volume for people to be prepared for whatever may come out. So with toes to bar, for example, we know that the elite males and females are hitting about 103 reps on average in 10 minutes or less in an Open workout. So we want to be able to build that volume first, and then we'll build some density later on. And
BTV! Build
the volume.
Should we call this a BTV cycle?
I know. I had no idea. Explain what BTV is. I was so confused. So the idea is we're going to try to build across the 28 movements that have been tested in the Open. Some of those are just like lateral burpees versus bar facing, whatever. But you're going to get a ton of different variations. And then after the 6 weeks, hopefully there'll be a decision made to know are we going to push forward towards the Open, or are we going to go back into a volume building phase to kind of prep for whatever's next?
Yeah. So we'll either be a volume building that leads into off season, which would still just be more volume building and more skill adaptation, or if it moves into the Open in October, you'll just start to make it more intense and put them in like Metcons and stuff in the next block.
For sure. And we still have some Metcons in this training block, but the focus will be a lot on barbell cycling. One of the things that I noticed is, and part of this is people just need to get stronger, right? And you'll talk about the strength path and what you're doing there, but the challenge for most people, the bottleneck, is heavy barbell cycling. So we're going to really prep for that at certain percentages so everyone can still do it together. And then we'll have certain loading that we've seen in the Open. So for example, like the bar, that 225 or 155 bar is always the one that starts tripping people up. So you're going to see a lot of barbell cycling at that. And then the other thing would be the gymnastic skills, right? Like most people can go into a workout and do 10 chest to bars now. But what happens when you have to keep coming back round after round? So chest to bars, handstand push-ups, toes to bars, and then some of the higher skills that are now in the Open, like pistols, we got to start developing those. So we're going to develop that, and then we also have a skill path for things like pistols that obviously people that don't have them, like me, my left leg, I've got to work on that. So that's an option for people.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, the pistols are one of those. It's definitely on the list now, and not just some touches on it. You need to be able to do a lot of them. To be successful at the higher level, you had to do, how many was it?
90. Yeah. And fast.
And that was like, we went from 0 to 90 real quick.
Do you want to sing the song?
No, that's good. That's all
What
I know.
song? The Pistol song?
0 to 100 real quick.
Sing the pistol song.
Pistols,
This is me doing
I
pistols,
love you.
and I'm failing. Oh, another
My quad's
fail.
cramping. The throwdowns. I'm kind of like throwing you a meatball because
Yeah.
I know the answer to this, but we're changing some of the throwdowns in this like volume building phase. What are they going to look like?
Yeah, so we have some really cool, fun throwdowns to start that we'll kind of keep on the hush-hush. But then the last 3 weeks of this next six-week training phase, we're going to do a team series. This is like one of the things that I've been like, we need to do this for so long. I want to see like you two go against me and Travis because naturally that's a fair
We'll
fight.
definitely win.
Yeah, and we're doing it where there are workouts that have to be done with a partner in person.
Yeah. So the way that'll be set up is during our throwdown announcements, we will announce a team series workout where it's just teams of 2. So we'll have male, female, and then male-female pairs. You can kind of choose just like the team series in the that CrossFit used to run. And we'll announce that workout. You'll have until that Sunday night to finish the workout. And then basically we'll have a leaderboard set up just like we do on Wad Up now that allows us to kind of see where everyone's at. And then obviously you can change it to where if it's male versus male-female, whatever it may be. But the idea of this is like, let's switch it up a little bit. Let's have some fun. Let's do something a little bit different. And then also I think the cool thing is for a lot of us, we're training alone. And especially during this time where it's like, I haven't been at the gym or I've had to do stuff at home. So now find yourself a partner, get after it for a couple of weeks. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think this.
Well,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, we'll still have individual options too.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun too because, I mean, most of the people that are training hard individually are trying to get ready for the open to do it individually, but without that clear directive of when we're training for something, it would just be nice to have like a more fun competitive outlet just for those 3 weeks.
Yeah, so those 3 weeks will be August 20th, August 27th, and then September 3rd will be the Saturdays that those will actually be done, or we'll release them on a Thursday, but that's like when we typically do them on site. And then the cool thing, Max, is we have a training camp that last week.
As I say, we should do one of them on site then.
So all the people on site will also do the team series workout, which will be a lot of fun.
That will be good.
Cool. What
That's
else
CrossFit.
with the CrossFit Path? So I guess the main difference is like we hit a lot of the movements in the last cycle, but you're saying we're going to focus more on volume, whereas we were doing more like maybe some density work, more speed work, like the total bars. It was kind of like open-ended on how you would accumulate the volume. Are you going to like set reps and targets
much
we're going
more
after?
set reps. There are some AMRAP settings and
Yeah.
some different variations there, but for most of it, we're building to the numbers that we know. And the nice thing is that we have the data on this now that we can see like top 500, top 10,000, top 20,000. So then we can kind of adjust the reps. Like, hey, if your target is to be top 10,000 in the open, this is probably the number you need to hit in this workout.
Yeah.
If you want to be top 500, which is obviously like elite, these are the numbers you need to hit, and so on and so forth. So we'll have targets for people to hit.
Cool.
And then also, we're touching mainly the movements that have been in the open. That doesn't mean there's not variance in other movements, but it's more focused on, we know that these are the things that have been tested. And then also, especially with dumbbells, these may come up because now we started to see some variations with dumbbells or pistols coming out. So we'll have that. And then like the main test of the week though will still be the throwdown. That's kind of like the crux of the week of like everything leading up is some volume building, and then we're gonna hit the throwdown with some intensity and call that our testing day for the week.
Cool.
Awesome.
You want to do the engine path next?
No, man, you do the strength path.
Okay, so we're kind of switching gears a little bit. It's funny, someone on Instagram the other day called me the engine king, and I said I feel more like an engine princess. But I'll take the compliment. I love it. Now the strength path is something I'm very excited to take over. I've actually never written this path before, so it's been cool to like learn a little bit from you guys and see how you handle it in a group setting. And what we did in the strength path, or what you did in the last several weeks, the last, 12 to 14 weeks, was the absolute strength progressions were really linear. So I want to change gears a little bit. We'll still do touches on the absolute strength progressions. But what we're going to do is like Monday is going to be more of a specific focus on developing the snatch 1RM. What I'm trying to do is make sure that I'm covering all limiters for someone with the snatch. So what I mean by that is like whether it's strength in the pull, stability and positions with the overhead squat, and we're doing the same thing with the cleans on Wednesday. So it might look like squat strength work in the front squat on Wednesday for the cleans. So you'll do like a squat clean into like 4 front squats, and we'll build on percentage of that. So that's covering like a front squat limitation in the squat clean. And then we'll also, if you're someone who has limitations in the pull or speed from the ground, we're going to do pulling work, positional work, clean pulls, positional pauses, things like that to kind of cover both areas of what the limitation in the clean might be.
So for the snatch and the clean, you're basically going to make sure that there's like first pull sequencing, hip extension sequencing,
Yep.
strength in the front squat or the overhead squat, just basically so that if anyone's following it with whatever limitation, they're just getting targeted, all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And then if someone is, let's say that their front squat or the squat itself is the major priority, I have options in there where you can hit a little more volume of that and less on the pulling.
Nice.
So that it doesn't just turn into like a massive long session, because someone like me, for example, I need less work on the squat strength and the squat clean. I need more work on the pull from the floor. So I would, to make this more of like an individualized approach in the strength path, I'm trying to do it to where I would get more focus on pulling from the ground, and maybe I just dial back the intensity or the volume on the squat volume.
I'd say this too. This is one of the reasons why we change who writes each path,
Yeah.
because we're all doing it a little bit differently based on the time of the year, but also gets rid of some biases or allows us to bias certain things that we like to do. And so it was all linear. Hey, here's what you're doing. It's kind of absolute strength, a lot of pressing work, and now you're like, now we're gonna target the lifts. And it's a great way for people to continue to see differences and variance in their training.
Yeah, and not get bored doing the same
For
thing,
sure.
like working on Olympic lifting progressions for 12 straight months all the time. I think for a lot of people would just get boring and repetitive and potentially make them stagnate. Whereas if you're going back and forth from slow strength to faster strength, working skills, working gymnastics, I think that's just a good way to go about it.
Yeah, so on that note, some of the retests that we're doing for this first like 4 to 6 week block, I'm gonna kind of vary it just because I also believe too that like when you're doing like really heavy intense strength cycles, I don't like to draw out the progressions too long. I feel like it can kind of beat you up. So I want to keep the focus a little bit shorter so that we hit it hard for like 3 to 4 weeks, really tough, aggressive progressions, back off for a week, and then retest. So you might see some things cycle on like 3 to 4 weeks, and some things might be 5 to 6 that are a little bit less intense that you can train for a little bit longer. So the first test will be a 3-rep max hang squat snatch. Right, so I like that because it's testing a bunch of things, right? Like obviously snatch proficiency, but positions, and I think that you'll be able to see a lot of improvement in your snatch as we train that for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. We'll do a lot of hang snatch work, technical work, just really developing grip strength, overhead squat, strength and stability, and then just consistency in the snatch. I feel like a 3-rep max, especially hang snatch like that, really tests your ability to basically control yourself in a snatch position, other than just doing a 1RM, right? Like definitely need the 1RMs to go up, but just to change gears a little bit, that's the focus. Wednesday is gonna be just a 1RM max squat clean. So Monday and Wednesdays are pretty lower body intensive. Tuesdays and Fridays are gonna be more upper body gymnastics focused. Tuesday will mostly be developing gymnastic strength. So strict ring dips, strict pull-ups, false grip technical work, and then a lot of core work, right? And then Fridays will be more external loading, more barbell overhead endurance. So we'll do a 10-rep max shoulder to overhead, and something that we'll progress on as well. We'll continue pushing absolute strength numbers with that, so doing more push press focus versus strict press, because we went through a beef of a cycle on that as well. So just trying to change gears. And then Saturday is going to be more speed work, power clean, power snatch development. We'll do a pretty linear progression on that. And then we'll do some PAP work into an absolute strength lift like deadlifts, along with some strongman touches, just to get a mix of movements that maybe we didn't hit throughout the week, just to keep some variance in there, keep your body healthy.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I like that you called Brandon's strict press cycle a beef cycle. So we have a beef cycle and a build the volume cycle.
I'm calling it a beef cycle because we had a dude strict press 280.
Oh my
I still don't understand how he
Dylan
did it.
is a beef.
My strict press, doing those progressions, my strict press went up like 15 pounds in like 4 weeks. It was crazy.
It was solid.
280
Yeah.
though,
Yeah,
it's just
280.
insane.
I know,
a whole
I know.
nother level.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, even the bench press, like all that stuff has been like really helpful. So yeah, just to change it up a little bit. Again, like something like the 10-rep max shoulder overhead, like just obviously like testing shoulder endurance, but like you have to be super technical when you're hitting that many reps in a row.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing too is a lot of these now it's 3-rep max and a 10-rep max. This will transfer over to, if the open does happen, let's say in October, to the stuff that you're going to need for that, and less about like the 1RMs.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I think that every cycle is important to test 1RMs on occasion, but I don't think it's something you need to do year round.
sure.
So I think like changing gears, going to a front squat 5-rep max, something that we'll continue to test and work towards, just to change up 1RMs a little bit and give the body a break.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I got the engine path. which is ironic because I have the worst engine of the three.
Oh no, man, you catch it up.
Yeah. So my thought process with this was that I wanted to create some sort of a exciting structure, which is hard for cyclical only and just getting on the machines, because a lot of people's major hesitation is like, it's boring, it's hard, it's like, it's only something they do when they're not doing the CrossFit stuff. So I thought the best way to create variation within the course of a week was to focus each individual day on different machines. And I'll give options for people that don't have them, but basically we're gonna target engine in every capacity. So Monday, I put assault bike. Tuesday would be ski erg and C2 bike. Running and rowing on Wednesday, ski erg on Friday, and then running as a priority on Saturday. So that gives us basically all of the machines, all the different styles of machines that you would see throughout the course of the week. And what I didn't want to do was go through putting a test up, going through linear progressions, and going through a retest. But the only way to really know if you've gotten better at engine style stuff is to retest. So it was kind of a conundrum for me to try to figure out. And what I came to was, I'm going to create a series of tests and retests that I do every time I take over the engine path. So I'm going to come up with a bunch of tests. Like one test, for example, would be 30 seconds on the assault bike, 2 minutes and 30 seconds rest, 6 intervals for maximum cumulative calories. So it's basically a power endurance style test.
Sounds easy.
Yeah, it's going to be gross.
That sounds disgusting.
And doing that twice over the course of 12 weeks or 6 weeks is going to be like, that would be so demanding emotionally to have to do that for 5 or 6 different tests. So what I'll do is I'll create those tests. I'm going to layer them into the training for the course of my 6 and then second 6 week cycle. And then I'm going to make sure that every time I take back over, we return back to them. So that way, when you guys are writing your progressions for assault bikes and for rowing, it's still getting them better at this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But that way we have a test retest cycle over the course of multiple months. So that way we return to them a little bit less frequently.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, that basic stuff really doesn't require a lot of skill. It's super important to test over long periods of time just to make sure that general fitness is constantly improving.
Yeah, so I created a structure where I'm rotating on alternate weeks. So I have A week, B week, and C week for my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, which gives me an opportunity to put different styles of assault bike training in, for example, on Monday. So in 1 week, I'll put in longer continuous intervals. In the next week, I'll put it on an EMOM structure. And in the next week, I'll put it on testing. So that way, people aren't coming to Mondays and being like, oh my God, I got to do another test on the assault bike. And trying to just basically give some variation in terms of how we're approaching and how we're training cyclical work, where there's some progressions, some testing, and enough variation built within that people can stay a little bit more disciplined.
Yeah.
And then one of the new things I think for this is that I'm going to try to do a lot more of these engine pieces during this training cycle, just so I can kind of be involved in the engine community and actually do them, which means I'll probably follow a different template. I'll probably put some thoughts into it just when I do my design TVs in terms of how I'm going to manipulate the training for this cycle for myself.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm going to do some of it too. I think this would be a good change of pace because the last engine cycle that I wrote, we did a lot of testing and with the intent of being to really learn where all your metrics are on things.
Yeah.
So now you know all those numbers, you have a really good idea, you can really apply it and get the most out of more of the structured interval type training coming up.
All right, so those are the 3 training paths that you can follow, and then we also have 2 new templates launching this. So if you don't know what the templates are, we got the templates for like combining the paths. So the last 6-week cycle, we did the combining all 3 paths, which is basically reducing the volume into one session where you can do a little bit of all of those and stay well-rounded. Then combining strength and CrossFit, which is like a strength bias, and then combining engine and CrossFit, which is like an engine bias. So we'll keep all of those. The engine one has been relatively simple to write because there's not that much conflict. There was a little bit when you had burpees and double unders in a couple times last cycle, but for the most part, you're just doing both of those sessions as 2 different sessions. And then the 2 that we're gonna add is one is a reduction in volume. So we write the CrossFit path as like you're an RX athlete or above. So you're in the elite division or you're in the RX. And that's a a relatively high level of contraction volume for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, we get some people reaching out saying like, hey, this is like, it's too many chest to bars, I can't do chest to bars, I can't do 100 chest to bars in a session, or people are ripping too frequently in their hands. So one of the ways that we can do that is just creating a template that explains how do you take this RX amount of volume and reduce it down. So maybe you're a master's athlete who just tolerates a little bit less volume, or you're an intermediate athlete, or you're just not in the mind state that you want to prep at the highest level of volume. Like if we're not going to have an open until February, for me, if I'm going to do the engine path, I might just want to do some of the CrossFit at a reduced volume. So one of the templates that we'll have is a reduced volume. And the other one is actually, we have Mia, one of our training think tank coaches, who's also on the throwdown. And she's over there.
Hey.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you guys.
Hi, I'm here. She's going to come on board and she's going to monitor all the skill programs that we currently have. And then we're creating a new training path that is gymnastics specific. So that's just a common issue. People don't have muscle ups, don't have bar muscle ups, don't have handstand push ups. And it's very hard to try to write a training program that can get you to 100 toes to bar in 10 minutes and then also be written for somebody that can't do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a training path that's gymnastics focused that allows us to write new skill programs for people that don't have them. So we're going to call them the got none skill programs that develop those skills, and then still give you some of the training from the CrossFit path or the engine path or the strength path so that you can be part of the training community while you work on your individual skills. So I think those two added templates will allow us to serve a more broad audience that wants to get better at CrossFit.
Yeah, and the one thing I was going to say is that a lot of people that are in the design right now, they have most of the skills, but maybe they don't have one or two. Like maybe it's just like I don't have muscle ups, I have everything else.
Yeah.
Then this new template allows you to be able to go in and say, hey, there's new bar muscle up skill path that I can do in attack, and then maybe if the open does happen in October, I can get some before then. So then at least you can get through a round or 2 rounds or whatever it may be that's tested. And then with the lesser volume, that's something that like I follow now, right? Like the with time demand and everything else. So it doesn't mean that you can't get better that way. It's like we're writing for maybe the best or those RX and above athletes, but those lesser volume templates probably fit for most of us to allow us to continue to progress. So I just want to encourage people that if you're someone that has been beat up or like, hey, I want to mix some of these paths, then one of those templates probably
got
fit.
life stuff going on, whatever.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. So you don't have to just stop dead in your tracks. Like you have an option now to just keep training a little bit lower intensity, lower volume, so you can still make progress.
I love it.
Cool. So for those that don't know a lot about the templates that we're saying, so we've got the training paths. These are very different from the templates. The training paths are like the actual programs written out. The templates are something that you release each week on Sunday, where you basically walk through and tell the listener or the client to go through, and these are the pieces of each path that you're doing specifically. Because we get a ton of questions about, we put those templates up there, but we get new people in the program that say, all right, how do I do all these paths together? Go to Sunday, look at it, figure out which one of those categories you might fit in, and then it tells you piece by piece what to follow each day. So it's way more easy to understand, because if you come in...
The template's like the recipe, and the paths are the ingredients.
Yeah, there you go, exactly. If you come in and you try and mix all the ingredients together all at once, it's going to taste like crap.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
What are we making? Some good banana bread?
Pie.
that sounds...
Beefy bodies.
Yeah, cool. What else? Anything else to add?
What are you guys going to do for training this upcoming cycle?
Yeah, I think...
Brandon, have you even been training?
I have been training. As I continue to rehab my knee, I'll probably avoid most of the CrossFit stuff for at least the first 3 weeks of the cycle. The goal is by the beginning of August, I should be kind of back up and running and doing some normal squatting and things like that. But I'm trying to take it easy. So engine path will be big for me, and then a lot of the upper body work from the strength path.
Brandon had knee surgery. For those of you who don't know, I'm just picking on him because I'm a bad friend.
This dude was training the day after, still doing more workouts than me at home. I'll continue to do the CrossFit path. I feel like it's very rounded enough for me, and it keeps me continuing to do movements that I would kind of just normally shy away from on days that I just feel like stiff and tired. Like if I'm stiff and tired some days, I'm not going to do muscle ups and pistols, but I still need to get the volume in, because then I look back and I'm like, it's been 2 weeks since I've hit any volume on this, so it's good accountability. And then when I start to feel maybe a little beat up, some of the throwdowns are getting intense, I'll just go and do some of the engine paths. So I'll just kind of go by feel between the two.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to do some more engine workouts with you.
Well, you can't just ask us and then
I
not-
already
you said-
explained
You
what
said
I was
I'm
gonna do.
probably going
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
the engine
yeah.
pass. So
This video is for accountability.
No, I don't want to put anything out there yet. I'm going to do a
No,
combination.
tell us what time you're going to train.
Chris,
I
come
don't
with the
wanna-
camera.
I'm going to do a combination of all three paths. I don't think I can handle like the full strength and the full CrossFit together. So I'm probably going to follow a little bit of a combination of the well-rounded reduced volume path, but I'm going to try to prioritize maintaining my full volume in the engine path. So it's going to be like my own recipe of what I can tolerate, and I just basically adjust it by feel, which I've done this past week. This is why they're giving me flack, because the last week I basically didn't train and haven't really shown up in my normal training times, trained by myself. 2 weeks, whatever, shoot me. So that's what I'll be doing.
Cool.
All right, let's build.
The volume.
I was like, where are you going again?
Get better at the sport of CrossFit alongside some of the best athletes in the world in our online training program, The Design. Head over to our website, trainingthinktank.com/DSGN to learn more.